I have not talked about Supernatural on this channel in a very long time because frankly there's nothing to really talk about because the show ended almost 4 years ago. This November will be 4 years. But I gotta just bring up the topic of should the finale be retconned? I saw some stuff kind of floating around online that Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki would be open to the idea of returning one day. And I thought to myself, okay, if you do that, you kind of have to retcon the finale, right? But before I get into some theories and thoughts, I just kind of want to give my thoughts on the finale again. I've not gone back and rewatched it or anything, nor do I plan to because I can't stand it, so I'm just never going to watch it again. It's pretty simple. But I think just to give you a little bit of taste of how fans feel about the finale of Supernatural, Supernatural has 327 episodes over 15 seasons. It is the second lowest rated episode on IMDb throughout the entire show's history. The only episode that's ranked worse than the finale of Supernatural is season 9, episode 20, Bloodlines, and that has a 5.8 out of 10. And of course, all these numbers are kind of skewed because Supernatural does have a very hardcore fan base, but still, it kind of gives you an idea of not a lot of people like the finale. But that's the fun of Supernatural. There are ways to kind of get around this finale or retcon it completely, and you could bring the show back in some way or have a Supernatural movie, etc., etc. I think the easiest way would be to play this episode off as a dream, something along those lines, right? Maybe one of the brothers gets touched by a djinn or something like that, and they see a potential future they could have, but of course when they wake up they don't have that future. I mean, come on, it's Supernatural, they can figure out something. You don't have to stretch your imagination too far. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Supernatural. I will forever argue that the first 5 seasons of this show are great television. I will stand by that until the end of time. Arguments can be made for the last 10 seasons that, you know, there's highs and lows and sometimes more lows than highs, but generally speaking it was fun no matter what. And that's why the finale I think bothers me so much, because the days of having a hard-hitting finale where one of the brothers dies or having a real somber and solemn finale, those days were so far behind Supernatural by the time they hit season 15 that it just didn't feel right. Now if you go to season 15 episode 19, that would have been a great finale. The brothers defeat Chuck and they just drive off in the sunset. You don't know where they're going, what they're going to do, but you can make the assumption that they're going to keep living, keep fighting the good fight, and keep doing what they do because they're the Winchesters. What else are they supposed to do, right? But it's nice to have the thought that they're still out there saving people, hunting things, you know, along those lines, where episode 20 just makes it so definitive that it's like, yeah, Dean dies and Sam lives his life and has a son and wears a horrible wig when he's 80 years old and then he dies. It's just so... it's so bad. And you can even kill them both, but not one and then someone lives a whole life. Even if you do that, you gotta have a big heaven scene where everyone's there. John, Mary, Castiel, Bobby, etc., etc. You gotta have like a big party at the Roadhouse, right? That's how it should have ended, in heaven, if you wanted to go that route. Due to circumstances in 2020, that obviously wasn't a thing, and it definitely, in my opinion, ruined the finale that they wanted to do. Again, I would have left it on episode 19. That's just the finale, and then the Winchesters will be back at some point over the next decade. That would have been cool because it does leave the show with an ending, but it also leaves it open-ended enough that they can return at any point and they can do anything with it. Where with episode 20, they make it quite definitive. Again, you can work your way out of it because it is Supernatural. Now going on to the final piece of business, can we actually see Supernatural return in some capacity? Now I think we could see it return in some way, but I wouldn't bank on it anytime soon. Seems like Jared Padalecki has been enjoying doing his own thing with the Walker Texas Rangers show. It's, I think, at like 4 or 5 seasons now. It's been successful enough, at least for the CW. Seems like Jensen is liking doing what he's doing, being on The Boys and a few other spot roles. He started a Supernatural prequel, which was awful. I'm sorry to say that, but it just was horrible. I couldn't get through the first episode. I had to fast forward through a lot of it because it was just so bad. I did go back and watch the clips that Dean was in because I want to see what they were doing with that character, but still, it just doesn't fit to the overall Supernatural story. It just doesn't work for me. But he worked on that, The Boys. He's directing here and there, I believe, has a brewery, and I think they could return when they're a little bit older. They could revamp it in some way, but if I was to make a guess, I think they would consider going back to Supernatural in some capacity once their kids were older, their families are grown up a little bit more, and they can, you know, get out of the house and they don't have to be home all the time, and they wouldn't feel guilty for being at work, right? You know, one of those type of things. But it just really depends. It truly does. If fans want it and if there is a network for it, because the CW is just, I don't know what they're doing over there anymore. Their quality of content was never, I guess, great. But over the last few years, it's just gotten so bad. So I would hope that if Supernatural did get revived in some way, it ended up on a streaming platform that could support the show financially and actually back them to do fun and interesting stories. It's just like any show or movie that they revive or bring back or anything along those lines. It just kind of scares me because most of the time when they do that type of stuff, they only hurt the product, not help it. And maybe in this case, they would help it because, again, I dislike the finale of the show so much that they really can't hurt it any worse. So with all that rambling and all of that said, I do think Supernatural is one of the great sci-fi shows ever created. The first 5 seasons are great television, bordering elite television. I will forever stand by that. I love the first 5 seasons. The back 10, you can make your arguments on what you want, if it's good or bad. It's enjoyable, never elite, never great. It never reaches the heights of the first 5 seasons. But ultimately, the finale of the show just wasn't good. And I would like them to do something to kind of retcon that in some way or another. Will it ever happen? Who's to say? Who knows? But I definitely hope it does in some way or another. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, guys, everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching.